Last week, Eve and I were in New York at the United Nations headquarters teaching GST, Gracie Survival Tactics, to the head instructors of the United Nations Security Services, basically their law enforcement organization within the UN. It was a huge honor, the first time working with the UN, and 3 weeks prior to our arrival, an incident took place very close to where we were staying and working in New York, where a woman was jogging 7:30 p.m. in New York and was grabbed by the hair by a sexual predator who isolated her, dragged her to an isolated area, and sexually assaulted her and then robbed her. And you know, Eve and I were reflecting on this situation, and we had some very interesting thoughts that we wanted to share with you guys.
Yeah, the hair grab is one that women are always concerned about, and it's one of the first questions that we get in a seminar or in our women's self-defense classes. And before I learned jiu-jitsu, it was always a concern with me. I know it's such a concern for women, so much so that some women will actually choose not to wear their hair in ponytails out of fear that it would be an easy target or an easy grip for someone in a similar situation to what happened in New York. Now, the crazy thing is that without jiu-jitsu, of course, someone grabbing your hair is a huge obstacle for someone in a self-defense situation. But with jiu-jitsu, it actually presents incredible opportunities to defeat or defend yourself or potentially defeat the attacker.
Let's talk about it. So we go into the main fighting situations. Ground, we have kind of mount, side mount, guard, and then standing, obviously someone can grab your hair as well. Let's start from the mount. Lay down, please.
So obviously this is worst case scenario. Usually it starts standing up, and then if he does get you to the ground and he still has your hair grabbed.
Right. So we know that from the bottom of the mount, obviously you want to escape this situation, and if someone has you by the hair, they're probably holding with one, maybe striking with the other hand, and they're using their legs to control you in this situation. Now, if you're, the general rule with the hair grab is if you're trying to make distance, it's an impediment. But if you understand how to work from close distance, it's an opportunity. Okay, so instead of trying to push me away and rip her head away, if Eve actually embraces my arm on the same side, locking it to her body and traps the foot on the same side, now my hand, I can't post my hand out for base or my leg. So on both arm and leg, I'm trapped on one side. So now if she just simply bridges straight up and trap and rolls to the same side, she's essentially off balance me, and now she's on top. Now here, if I try to hit her, she can disengage and get away. If I try to keep the grip on her hair, she can posture up on my body, and then ultimately use strikes from here to distract and make the person want to defend themselves. And when their hands do anything, she's disengaging. But most likely, they're going to let go and want to get up anyways, which will make them let go of the hair. One more time, please. Sure. And if that's not possible to do the trap and roll, because maybe he's such a big guy, then what Eve can do is use her hand to hug my body a little bit. Look, slip her leg out, turn the other way, and put me in the guard. Because by Eve putting me in the guard, the competitive ratio goes from what we call 3 to 2, right? So if I'm mounted, I have 1, 2, and I have gravity, 3, working against her, and she only has 2 defense mechanisms. But once she's able to slip her leg out, go again, she slips her leg out, slides her leg under, boom, comes out, puts me inside the guard. Now she has what we call 4 to 3. She has, go back, even if I have the hair, both my hands, and I have gravity, so 3, now she has 1, 2, 3, 4. So the best place to have someone, if your hair is grabbed and you're on the fight, on the bottom of the fight, is to have them in your guard, okay? Because from here, there are so many things that she can do. For example, if I have her by the hair, the obvious and easiest one, instead of trying to push away and get out, in which case she would be stuck right here, watch how she simply creates an angle on my body and goes for the arm lock. Look, turn, leg, and boom. So the arm that I'm grabbing her with, she can actually break. So it's a huge gift. Let's go back. Or if he's a little closer, she can bring her knee inside over here for a triangle. Look, she stretches me away, brings her leg out, and even though I'm still holding the hair, lock it up, boom, and then look. Within 6 seconds, I'm choked unconscious, even though I have her hair grabbed with my hand. Same thing. If the person ends up in side mount like this and they're grabbing here or grabbing here, all she has to do is brace my body, bring her legs into the equation, and end up in the guard right here, and the same opportunities are possible. So the idea is no matter what position you end up on the ground, you want to get the person inside your guard. But this is not a natural reflex for someone. Instead, what are they probably going to try to do?
Right.
Grab the hand and push it off. Yeah.
Try to get away.
Or and then they're hitting boom, boom, boom. So this is an impediment as long as you're trying to move out.
Yeah, the natural instinct from here would be to try to get away or try to stand up, try to create distance from this because someone's coming in with punches. So of course, if someone's trying to bring you close or trying to take you somewhere, our natural instinct is to go the opposite direction. But the problem here is that Number one, we can't do that. Number two, we're putting ourselves at the perfect distance for strikes.
Right. The thing is this: if
By
they have you by the
trying
hair,
to-
you're not gonna get away. It's too strong
The
of a
grip
grip.
is way too strong.
Yes, but if you are comfortable in closeness, right, and you can manage the distance in a close way and take advantage of the extended arm, but you have to learn this. This is not instinctive. What's instinctive is to rip away, and unfortunately, ripping away is precisely what they expect you to do and what they're prepared for, which is why perpetrators are able to successfully use the hair as a tool. And it could even be a standing situation. So when we talk about standing hair grab defenses, the first one we teach women is if the arm is kind of extended and drawn out, why don't you show them that variation?
Sure. But I secure his arm with me. I take a step back, and I can break the arm here, standing.
Yeah, so right there. And interestingly enough, rotate here, come back. Interestingly enough, right here, if I have the hair and Eve has her standing arm lock situation, as her head goes up, my arm breaks. So the fact that I'm holding her hair, in fact, assists her in hyperextending my arm towards the mat right here, okay? So it's quite the opportunity if the arm is extended. Sometimes a little bit more congested.
Right. Yeah. If they're controlling you more and everything is closer, maybe they're throwing punches. Now, I can try to kind of pull him with me, but I can't because his arm is stronger than my ability to pull him towards me. So instead, we would take it back to the ground.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, like if you can't get the standing arm lock and they're taking you somewhere, right? Let's say, because the number one thing they want is isolation. As this attack took place in New York, the man grabbed her, took her to I guess it was an amphitheater, an isolated area where he was able to carry out the sexual assault undetected. That's the number one thing they want is to isolate you. So if that's what they want, then your number one goal is don't go. And as they're pulling you by the hair, base, if you have solid base and just resist base.
Because the natural instinct is if someone's grabbing you by the hair and trying to pull you somewhere, what's your natural instinct, right? It's to fight.
Right, hit
So
and
it's to
resist.
fight and resist, but by resisting and fighting, I'm still going to go with him.
Yeah,
because
and
his grip is so strong.
Yeah, and it's pulling from so high.
Yes.
Right, the normal base that we teach is from here,
Right.
which you're able to resist and sit low and back because it's connected to your body.
Right.
But if I tie it up here and they're pulling from the top, even if
Yeah,
you make base,
base,
it's gonna be
go.
very difficult. And if they're hitting you at the same time. So if you're gonna go no matter what, you wanna go to the ground. Because once you're on the ground, you're much more difficult to transport, like a little kid, right, who just simply doesn't wanna go to bed and you're like trying to take them and they don't wanna go and they're super difficult because they're flailing and twisting and making their body all weird on the ground. That's what you wanna do.
An incident similar to this one in New York where he took her from a public place and then brought her to an isolated place. So I'd rather land on the ground in a public place,
And
make
yeah.
a big scene, make it take extra long there, as opposed to him being able to transport me somewhere else.
Absolutely.
So here, let's take a look at what that looks like. So
So-
if he grabs the hair, again, instead of me just like kind of fighting the hair and going with him or trying to fight him, I secure the arm. Here I make a strong base. I can pull guard here, right? And then straight from here, I can go to the arm lock, or we can go to the triangle from here as well.
Perfect. So, one more time in slow motion there.
Sure.
So controlling my arm, Eve brought me. She's pulling guard, grabbing the arm with the hand on the
Yeah,
forearm.
so this is securing the arm that's grabbing my head, which makes it also a little more comfortable as opposed to him just grabbing my hair and me being at the
Yeah.
mercy of this. Once I control his arm a little bit and like kind of glue it to my head now,
Very tight.
it's not so much, it's not pulling on my hair as much, it's not as painful because I'm keeping this connection. This other arm can
And
be
this is
grabbing
critical
too.
because when Eve pulls down to the ground, if she goes by herself, it's gonna hurt her head. But by holding my neck and connecting to me upper body, now when she steps forward, squats down and pulls back, boom, and she launches me in the guard when I'm not expecting it. She made sure that I came with her so there's no separation on her hair or pull away on the head. So at this point, of course, for the angle, she's gonna switch hands. Boom, one hug, one blade. Use her foot on my hip, turn 90 degrees, legs up and over, which is so easy if they're giving you the arm, you guys. But what's crazy is that, like we talked about before, this is not something that you guess in the moment. This is something that you learn. And, not to say that anyone who's ever ended up in a situation even remotely similar to this is wrong for not knowing this.
Of course.
Right?
It's not instinctive whatsoever.
In self-defense, there's no right and wrong. Any person or any woman who's ever ended up in a situation remotely similar to this is not wrong for doing anything different, right? When it comes to self-defense, there's just tools, more tools, and survival. And all you aim to do is to keep Yeah, survive is the #1 objective, and along the way, you want to learn as many tools as possible to increase your probability of survival in this situation. Fortunately, the woman in this particular incident that we're talking about survived, and that's all that really matters. And fortunately, the man used her ATM card at a gas station or convenience store, and photos were taken. They have surveillance footage of the man. He's still on the loose, but they know what he looks like. And if you guys have any information, contact New York Police, and let's see if we can get this guy behind bars. But in this particular situation, we just felt it was so important to speak up because, when it comes to adding tools to the arsenal for, future situations and for preparation for any possible situations, knowing how to deal with hair grab defense is such an amazing asset, right? Because women should not have to change how they wear their hair based on the crazy people that exist out there in society. And Eve wears her hair in a ponytail all the time. I love it, it's amazing, and I'm confident that if anybody ever grabs her by the hair, they're gonna pay for it and wish they never did. And I think that's an amazing tool that we would love to share with every woman. Obviously, a short video like this is not gonna give you the muscle memory or the reflexes, but it'll give you the idea that what was previously such an amazing or such a major obstacle is really an amazing opportunity if you simply learn, a couple techniques, couple tricks, and can turn that into a possibility from there.
Yeah, so what can they do now?
January 23rd, 2:30 to 4:30 p.m. here at the Gracie Academy in Torrance. We're going to have a free self-defense seminar. We do one usually in the beginning of every year, and we just think it's a great opportunity for women who've never tried jiu-jitsu to get in here with a room full of other women who are brand new, only first-timers, and try a class with Eve and myself. And also taking place at select certified training centers around the country. So if you don't live in Southern California, check the website and see if there's one closer to where you live. But it's
in the Women Empowered course, we learn these techniques.
Right. It's very much covered.
Hair grab defenses. This is a whole class spent on just learning how to defend against hair grab defenses.
It's crazy because when Royce fought in UFC 1, he wore the gi, right? The gi uniform, and when it was legal back then, and fought against those huge giants and was able to submit all those guys and essentially start the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu legacy in America then. And people always say, "Oh, Royce, why'd you wear a gi?" Or at least I know from family discussions that one of the many reasons, besides drying the sweat off to make the guys more submittable, was so the guys would actually grab the gi. Because if a hand is grabbing, it's not punching, and it's identifiable, its exact location. Like which pixel it's located on your body. And you can attack it accordingly because it's essentially being given to you. But if you don't know jiu-jitsu, that grab is the most debilitating factor. Like if you get a wrestler, high school or college wrestler, and you put them in a gi and you grapple with them and I grab their gi, they feel like they're trapped in a sleeping bag and they don't know what to do, they panic. But jiu-jitsu, you learn how to take grips and use them against your opponent. And the hair grab is simply...
Perfect example.
Yeah, it's like wearing a gi on your head and it's totally grabbable, but it's totally an opportunity. And, sometimes it makes me want to grow my hair out so that I could...
I think we should do that. I think that's a great idea.
But you guys got the idea. The moral of the story is that the grab is as much an opportunity as it is an impediment. And the only difference is the filter, the lens that you're looking at it through, whether it's a jiu-jitsu trained, opportunity-seeking lens, or it's one of just instinctive responses, which are all about distance and trying to break away, in which case it simply won't work. I mean, it's not going to be as likely of a success strategy compared to what can be done. All right, so January 23rd, we'd love to see any of you guys and your friends here. Gracie Academy Torrance, go to the website, gracieacademy.com, email, phone number in the description. We'd love to see you guys on the mat, try this stuff. We know that a lot of women are very timid about trying jiu-jitsu for the first time because jiu-jitsu has this MMA connotation and association.
But jiu-jitsu is for women, and matter of fact, I believe it's the best self-defense for women.
Right, precisely because it addresses situations that are so realistic like this.
Just like this.
And if you've ever thought about learning self-defense, but you've been too intimidated to take that first step, January 23rd is the time to do it, simply because there'll be a room full of 100 other first-time students who've never seen this stuff before, and it's going to be the most energized, enthusiastic, positive, cooperative, collaborative learning environment you've ever experienced. So make it happen, get out here, or find a certified training center near you where it's going down on the same level. Much respect. And for those who live nowhere near any certified training center, gracieuniversity.com. This entire curriculum is available online. Get a friend and learn from home. Thank you guys. We'll see you on the mat.
And don't mess up my hair.